Good morning, friends. Welcome to our Sunday morning worship service on Sunday, November 22nd, as we celebrate and honor Thanksgiving this year and our 50/50 collection for the Thursday Cafe. As has been our pattern during this time of pandemic, we are recording this service to be uh, placed on our website and on our YouTube channel, and we are also casting it live on Facebook at this time. Our chalice lighting this morning by Robin Gray. Day breaks on our gratitude for family and friends, for the freedom to find our own truth, for the company of those who gather here, and the promises we offer one another. Let the light of day bring the grace of faith into our lives. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester's online Sunday morning worship service. We're so glad that you've joined us virtually this morning. It's an act of love that we gather in this way during this time of pandemic response. We hope that this service gives you an opportunity to pause for a few minutes to gather in community so that we might care for each other and take a moment to reflect on our own well-being and discover opportunities for spiritual refreshment, even as we are at a personal distance. We will gather this way at least through the fall. Through the next few weeks, our religious exploration program will be offering opportunities for children and youth to gather virtually as well as in person. Please visit www.uucworcester.org for more information on these get-togethers as well as other opportunities to meet for discussion and support. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better as you are able, please list your name on your video feed. Please note that this service is being live streamed over Facebook and is being recorded and will be available on the church YouTube channel and our service archive on the website in the coming days. Following this service this morning, you are invited to join us for virtual fellowship hour by staying on your Zoom channel. Our opening words are by Andre Moll. As we gather together, may we remember when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other, because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a place of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. May it be so. Our opening hymn this morning is Come Ye Thankful People Come.
I'm going to give you more intro.
I'd like to welcome Robin Mickiewicz, our Director of Religious Exploration, for our Religious Exploration moment.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. This morning, during our religious exploration Zoom, we talked about segregation. This goes along with our entire year of curriculum based on diversity and racial justice. We read this book called Ruth and the Green Book. Many children were surprised at the amount of difficulty it was for the family in this book to travel from their home in Chicago in the 50s to visit their grandmother, her grandmother in Alabama, and not being able to stop in many places, and only until they got the Green Book, which showed where Black people were allowed to stop and eat and get gas and use the restrooms and stay overnight, were they able to make that trip. And during that trip, the young girl brought a teddy bear with her to keep her comforted, and she soon found that she really, really needed that teddy bear because it was a tough trip for them. But in an inn, she met a young family who had a little boy who was equally as troubled and scared. So she handed her teddy bear to him. And she felt like that if we all helped each other get through tough times, it would make our lives so much better. So the kids and I also made a teddy bear this morning. I have my sewing machine here in my office. And it was quite fun to do this to remember the message. This afternoon, we'll be meeting with the youth group outside, and we look forward to another day of decent weather. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin, very much. Our reading this morning is by Anne Sexton. There is joy in all, in the hair I brush each morning, in the cannon towel newly washed, that I rub my body with each morning, in the chapel of eggs I cook each morning, in the outcry from the kettle that heats my coffee each morning, in the spoon and the chair that cry, "Hello there, Anne," each morning, in the Godhead of the table that I set my silver plate cup upon each morning. All this is God, right here in my pea green house each morning, and I mean, though often forget to give thanks, to faint down by the kitchen table in a prayer of rejoicing as the holy birds at the kitchen window peck into their marriage of seeds. So while I think of it, let me paint a thank you on my palm for this God, this laughter of the morning, lest it go unspoken. The joy that isn't shared, I've heard, dies young. I'd like to invite Denise Daragram to come to the screen in order that we might hear about Thursday Cafe, which is our 50/50 collection this morning. Denise, and you're muted.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Thursday Cafe is one of the two major functions of a group that I'm involved with called Worcester Fellowship. And basically, Worcester Fellowship exists to attend to the spiritual and practical needs of the hungry and homeless in Worcester. So pre-COVID, we would open the doors, and we borrow space from All Saints Church. We'd open the doors at 12:30, they'd come in, run for the 12 beds that we had set up, and then we would, from then until 4, we would serve them hot food, cold food, provide fellowship, et cetera, et cetera. COVID obviously shut that down, but they're still out there, and they still need us and we need them. So we are now serving outside every Thursday. So they come start at 12:30, and they come and we give them a hot meal and coffee and in to-go containers, and they take it and go. We also used to provide them with a great deal of clothing and supplies. We've had to narrow that down somewhat to coats and boots because we just don't have the space to put it inside, and they can't come inside anymore. So it's been a tricky thing, but there are so many needy and people in our community, and they're so happy that we are there for them, and we're happy to be there. What we basically need is that every week our volunteers are the ones who cook the food, and they take it out of their own pockets. Worcester Fellowship doesn't have a budget for us. So that means that every Thursday, a different volunteer is taking an opportunity to cook them food, to go out and buy the food, cook it, and then a small group of us serve it. So it would be very helpful to take some of the burden off of the volunteers, and also to buy supplies. We get a lot donated, but we also need more, and we're giving them soap and toothbrush and toothpaste and hand sanitizer and feminine products, et cetera, but we don't have a budget for that either. So any and all contributions, I can guarantee, will go directly to some of the neediest people in our community, and Thursday Cafe and Worcester Fellowship would be very grateful. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Denise. So as we take up our offering this morning, mindful of it as symbolic of that which is the work of our hands and the values that we share with each other. We share it this morning with those in need in our community. We invite you to text your offering to 508-231-5335 or to visit www.uucworcester.org/donate. And we will divide our offering this morning with our friends at the Thursday Cafe in order that we might be able to feed those who are hungry in our community. At this time, our morning offering will be received.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
That was great, you guys. Everybody say woo! Are you thankful for something?
What? My family.
Your family? What are you thankful for?
Mom getting us a pug. A golden retriever.
Is mom thankful for that? Mom hasn't done that yet.
Yeah,
What
but
are you
she's
thankful
going
for?
to. My rat. Shelter.
Shelter.
Air.
Let's all say thank you. Thank you. That's okay. You can just
Animals. Yeah, animals. So what do we do now?
feel things. I think we're gonna sing again. Animals.
Animals.
You think we should sing again about it?
Like anytime I see an animal, I'm just like,
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Precious day. We give thanks. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. Precious day.
Stop our screen share at this moment and invite us into that time when we are given pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired or in prospect of days to come. Joys and sorrows that touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows this day to unmute yourselves so that I might call on you in turn, or if you would like to add a joy or sorrow to the comments on Facebook, we will gather them as well. If you would like me to mention a joy or sorrow for you, please place it in the chat and please read before it so that I catch it in order to include it. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day? Bruce and Cheryl Lachey.
Hi, my joy is that I've run out of pie pans. 46 pies later. Thank you very much. It's been very successful pickup for those of you who ordered. Will be on Tuesday. And this was a labor of love. I'm done.
Thank you so much. Diane.
Good morning, everybody. Would you like to hear some good news?
Yes.
So at this moment, or as of tomorrow, we will have fed 83 families for Thanksgiving through the Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry. I want to thank everybody who helped in any way. That would Denise, Brian, and Rachel know that that is approximately 4,000 pounds of food. I have a small story that sort of typifies the day yesterday. Later in the morning, a man who had never been to see us came through our new drive-through operation, and I had the pleasure of meeting with him. I have to get a few statistics from him at first, and one of the things he mentioned was that he had a new baby at home, and yes, they are using formula for the baby. So we hardly ever see any babies at the pantry, which is a really good thing for me because thinking of a hungry baby makes me really sad. But for whatever reason, yesterday we had 3 cans of formula sitting in the kitchen, and magically through the drive-through operation, Denise will know this, those 3 cans of formula got to that man in the car sitting in the parking lot, and he said it was a gift from God. So I just want to let you all know this morning that to my way of thinking, all of you, all the food, and all the folks who rely on us are truly a gift from God.
Thank you so much, Diane. Let's see, Laura Lenahan.
Good morning. Hopefully Mason doesn't start crying. So I don't know if many of you vote on the Central Mass Best of every year, but I'm proud to say that one of our veterinarians, Dr. Jillian Morlock, was voted Best Veterinarian here at Community Animal Hospital. So you can certainly check her out. She does a lot of food pantries. She does a lot of hiking, and she's just an amazing person to have for our 4-legged friends. So we are all very proud of her.
Thank you so much, Laura. Let's see, Margaret. Peg.
This is a different Thanksgiving season for our family. My eldest daughter has been diagnosed with metastatic cancer, so we're all gathering together to support her and each other.
Thank you so much, Peg. We send all our love and all our prayers to you and to Deb and to your family during this time. Let's see, Eve Stutzman.
Hi, yeah. I was just feeling especially moved and sorrowful over the image of I think she was a great aunt in Florida who watched a deputy shoot and kill the boy she had raised from infanthood. So just feeling especially emotional about that today and keeping them in our hearts.
Thank you so much, Eve, in our hearts as well. Pauline.
Good morning. This has to do with the ACE program of holiday shoeboxes. Out of the 57 names that we were given to commit to, we have 52 signatures, so we're still short 5. If you care to participate, it would be very welcome. The drop-off dates are the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th at the church between 1:30 and 3:30. Thank you. There are boxes, by the way, that will be put in the classroom opposite Aaron's office. Empty boxes that are being donated by Maura Rouse. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pauline, for that. 2 other sorrows and joys this morning. One from Denise Darragran, good thoughts to 2 of my guys. First, my eldest son was diagnosed positive with COVID this week, and to my other son, Alan, who has sickle cell. He is back in the hospital with yet another sickle cell crisis. Alan is one of our asylum seekers. And from Sue Nees this morning, thoughts for her friend, Steve, whose 30-year-old daughter passed away suddenly yesterday, sending healing thoughts during this very painful time. Are there any other joys or sorrows to be shared at this time? I have from David Chesky also wanting to remember a family who, with one of their 4 children, survived a suicide by hanging. That is nothing short of a miracle that he survived, and he and his family have a long road to recovery. Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. The Holy One, we come together this day in thanksgiving for each other's presence in our lives. And we gather with thoughts of so many others that we care for. Help us be mindful of the gift of our own health and well-being as we pray for the health and well-being of those who have been touched by dis-ease, who struggle with mental illness, who have threatened their own lives or who have had their lives taken by others. Help us be comfort to each other and all of those who suffer and grieve during this time. Help us to be thankful for those who serve our 4-footed friends and our 2-footed companions, those who serve when the need is hunger or homelessness, in order that people might be able to find place among us, and who might find companionship along the way. Help us remember the simple moments of pleasure and gratitude that come to us throughout our day. The smile and laughter of children, with music, with the opportunity to simply be in a safe place, surrounded by those who love us, even if we are only connecting through technology with them in this moment. May the connection remain strong as our love for them and our wish for their well-being. For all of this and for so much that has gone unsaid but is no less real, right, and true in this moment, we give great and abiding thanks. Amen. And blessed be. So I just finished blowing leaves from my front yard into the street yesterday. It's been a challenge and an art form to create a pile of leaves at the curb as the wind decides to blow the leaves hither and yon. Atop the pile of leaves, I placed a few branches that had fallen from the windstorm a few weeks ago, and then spied the pumpkins that adorned the front steps of our house for Halloween. One had clearly been transformed into a residence for some small creature who had more passion for pumpkin seeds than I, and it was now in the throes of decay. I carefully lifted it to the pile of leaves as it dripped down the sidewalk. The other was as sound and solid as the day we had placed it on the step. It too went into the pile of leaves, as I thought it a shorter distance from there to the compost pile in the back of the house. And there I sat on the front steps, soaking in the afternoon sun and the breeze, when a neighbor and his daughter happened down the street on their bicycles. The girl's pink bicycle sparkling as she pedaled joyously. I remembered a moment from my past when I declared that I would never buy anything so pink, only to be reminded of that declaration a year or two later as I was putting together my daughter's first bicycle. That's about as long as any dad declaration lasts in the presence and joy of that kind of pinkness, if you will. Up the street they went and circled around to the bend in our road and back and forth. My neighbor slowed as we exchanged pleasantries, stopping for a moment to talk about the current state of things. His child was impatient to continue their sojourn until she spied the pumpkins in the pile. Amused by the one that had almost fully collapsed, she giggled and then stared at the other for a moment in wonder. I ventured, "Would you like to have that pumpkin?" She looked at her dad and then at me and shyly nodded. "What do you think?" asked her dad. "We could make it into a turkey with feathers and a neck and a beak." "Excellent idea," I exclaimed. She smiled as the vision of that creature began to come together in her imagination, and then began to imagine how it is that she would get that pumpkin home. It was quite heavy. Deciding finally to come back for it and take it by hand when they had finished their afternoon exercise. I didn't stay to see who carried the gourd finally, but I know it made its way back to their house to become a turkey that had been imagined earlier. Rescued from its immediate fate as compost somewhere in the city, that pumpkin became a perfect example of the application of appreciation that I've been pondering for weeks in preparation for this morning. The ability to find worth in something and to transform what might have been trashed for lack of energy and imagination into an opportunity to celebrate the season. Now that is brilliance in the making. And I think this is the challenge of Thanksgiving this year. Amidst all of the disappointment and grief that accompany our experience of this pandemic and the warnings that we not travel or engage in larger celebration with family and friends that are such a hallmark of this holiday, the application of appreciation will take some imagination on our part to turn what could be, for lack of energy and imagination, a holiday many, I think, would just as soon let pass so that we might get on with this year and be done with it. But there are turkeys to be made from the pumpkins we discard. And Thanksgiving is not something to be discarded simply because we can't do it the way we've always done it. Here's where the words of well-known theologian Walter Brueggemann seem most fitting to me. as he writes about Thanksgiving. He said, Thanksgiving is a contradiction of the values of the market economy that imagines we are self-made and can be self-sufficient. When we give thanks, we commit an act of defiance against the seductions of our society. We may sing all kinds of patriotic songs and feast to satiation on Thanksgiving Day. Beyond all of that is our acknowledgement that life is a gift that evokes a response. We are never self-starters. The drive for self-sufficiency is an unnecessary and futile idolatry. For me, the very act of Thanksgiving in this moment in our life as families, as communities, as a commonwealth and country is a testament to our ability to rise above the lethargy of our prolonged period of isolation. And the fact that we use our creativity to maintain connections, now mediated mostly over technology, is an act of defiance against the propensity of many to simply give up on our efforts to serve the common good. Recently, I've come across a number of examples of those who rail against the impassioned pleas of healthcare workers and local, state, and federal officials who continue to implore their constituents to abide by the measures set forth to promote our health and well-being, as well as that of our neighbors and friends. Wear a mask, we hear them say. In response, we hear, I believe in liberty, as one pastor shouted from his pulpit, railing against the public mandate to wear face coverings. But liberty is only one value associated with two others as they were reflected in the founding documents of our nation. Without the requisite life, liberty is useless and cannot achieve the third value, the pursuit of happiness. That is the goal of liberty itself. Liberty is not self-sufficiency in the extreme. If Thanksgiving means anything, it is that we pause to consider that our lives are a gift from the source of creation itself and the generations of those whose living made our lives possible. And as we have learned over the years, liberty is not something that has been honored or recognized equitably across generations. To truly appreciate liberty, we must also acknowledge the contexts in which liberty thrives. In the context that we read in the Declaration of Independence, liberty fundamentally refers to a state of being free from arbitrary, despotic, or autocratic rule or control. We as a nation are a product of the cry for liberty in order that we might be free to craft a life of meaning that is unencumbered by political despotism. But liberty also requires a social contract, a willingness to take as seriously others' liberty. If by our actions we threaten the liberty of others, we become despotic. And as I have said before, life is a prerequisite to liberty and its attendant value, the pursuit of happiness. To understand this, I want to turn to Walter Brueggemann again and a prayer that was made possible a few years ago, which he wrote, "We are strange conundrums of faithfulness and fickleness. We cleave to you in all the ways that we are able. We count on you and intend our lives to be lived for you. And then we find ourselves among people who are always seeking elsewhere and otherwise. So we give thanks that you are the God who yearns and waits for us, and that our connection to you is always from your side, and that it is because of your goodness that neither life nor death, nor angels, nor principalities, nor heights, nor depths, nor anything in creation can separate us from you. We give you thanks for your faithfulness, so much more durable than ours." Amen. Written from a clearly Christian perspective, I want to suggest that our faith tradition that sees the divine in the eyes of everyone, that this prayer with a few linguistic changes might well reflect our yearning in this moment to be with those we love, and as a measure of our faith in action, to be in the presence of the divine when we commune with those we love. Hear the words again. We are strange conundrums of faithfulness and fickleness. We cleave to our families and friends in ways, in the ways we are able. We count on them and intend our lives to be lived with them. And then we find ourselves among your people who are always seeking elsewhere and otherwise. So we give thanks that you are the ones who yearn and wait for us, and that your connection is so strong, and that it is because of the strength of your love for each other that neither life nor death, nor angels, nor principalities, nor heights, nor depths, nor anything in creation can separate us from you. We give thanks for your faithfulness and friendship. May ours be as durable as yours. Amen. Nothing, ultimately, can separate us from each other. Here's the truest testament to our faith. In this moment when we feel most separate, the application of appreciation for this truism takes an effort we hitherto have not had to apply as diligently. It takes creativity, patience, fortitude, and vision. Another pumpkin turkey, if you ask me. Such appreciation awakens us also to those moments that have too often gone unrealized as holy opportunities for Thanksgiving. Remember Anne Sexton's words earlier? There is joy in all. In the hair I brush each morning, in the cannon towel newly washed that I rub my body with each morning, in the chapel of eggs I cook each morning, in the outcry from the kettle that heats my coffee each morning, in the spoon and the chair that cry, "Hello there, Anne," each morning, in the Godhead of the table that I set my silver plate upon each morning. All this is God, right here in my pea greenhouse each morning, and I mean, though I often forget to give thanks, to faint down by the kitchen table in a prayer of rejoicing as the holy birds at the kitchen window peck into their marriage of seeds. So while I think of it, let me paint a thank you on my palm for this God, this laughter of the morning, lest it go unspoken, the joy that isn't shared, I heard, dies young. Beloved, let not sorrow, anxiety, or grief separate you from the love that is available every moment we are awake to receive this gift. The application of appreciation is the art of recognizing wherein our true liberty lies and the creation of a shared life and happiness that is the product of the well-being of all people and all that we share with creation itself. Amen. And blessed be. Let us share this week's litany together. Words by Reverend Max Kutz. Let us give thanks for a bounty of people, for children who are our second planting. And though they grow like weeds and the wind too soon blows them away, may they forgive us our cultivation and remember fondly where their roots are. Let us give thanks for generous friends with hearts as big as Hubbard squash and smiles as bright as their blossoms. For feisty friends as tart as apples, for continuous friends who, like scallions and cucumbers, keep reminding us that we've had them. For crotchety friends as sour as rhubarb and as indestructible. for handsome
for
friends
handsome friends
who are as gorgeous as eggplants
eggplants
and as
and
elegant
as
as a row
elegant
of corn,
as a row of corn.
and the others as plain as potatoes and so good for you. For funny
For
friends
funny friends
who are as silly as Brussels
silly as
sprouts
Brussels sprouts.
and as amusing as Jerusalem artichokes, and serious friends as
As
complex as
complex as
cauliflowers and as
and
intricate
as
as
intricate
onions.
as onions.
For friends as unpretentious as cabbages, as subtle as summer squash, as persistent as parsley, as
As
delightful
delightful
as dill,
as dill.
as endless as zucchini,
zucchini,
and who, like
like
parsnips,
parsnips.
can be counted on to see you through the winter. For old
For
friends,
old friends,
nodding like
nodding like
sunflowers
sunflowers
in the
in the
evening,
evening time.
and young friends coming on as fast as radishes. For loving friends,
Loving friends who
wind us around like tendrils and
tendrils,
hold us, despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for those friends now gone like gardens past that have been harvested, but who fed us in their times that we might have life thereafter. For all
For
these,
all these, we give thanks.
we give thanks. Our closing hymn this day, for the beauty Our closing words this morning are by my colleague Erica Hewitt. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of our deep love, our strong hope and bright joy. But flex the power of these gifts too. Put your faith and hope to use. Share your joy and love more freely than you thought possible. For together we use these tools to carve out lives of wonder and purpose and service. Go in peace.